Hello to you, our cosmic family. Today, Shar and I just got done interviewing a wonderful woman. It was our very first interview, and she is an absolute doll. We were very excited to talk to her. Her name is Maggie Emerson. And did you enjoy yourself, Shar?
I did. I did. We're beyond excited to introduce our first ever guest here on Cosmic Soul Sisters. So Maggie is a playful creatress whose infectious energy creates ripples of joy, as you're about to witness. She makes her own gorgeous handmade earrings, which I'm actually wearing a pair of. These are called Dancing Through Life. She's an energy healer. She's an intuitive coach and a Nia dancer, yoga instructor. So we hope that you enjoy it as well. What was your favorite part of our conversation that we had with Maggie, Leah?
Oh, there's so many good things. But the one thing that I liked probably the most was when she was talking about her earring collection. And I don't want to give too much away because you guys will hear it. But there's a point where she chats about the jewelry actually picking her as opposed to her picking the jewelry for the day. And I thought that was such an incredibly cool concept that I haven't thought about myself, that even in inanimate object, as we might call it, can actually carry its own energetic vibration that might pull itself to our vibration. It was a really cool concept that really, it was fascinating to me because I'd never thought of that before. Absolutely. Did you have a favorite part? Is there something you liked?
I liked that, but I also liked when she was talking about her course, Joy Activated, and how we have these joy killers that she was talking about that we don't even know, I guess are subconsciously killing our joy. And so look for that too. That's going to be really interesting.
It is. Agreed.
Great. Well, welcome everyone. We're glad you're here and enjoy the interview. We will have information on how to contact Maggie will be located below. So please click on those links and find more about her. All right. We have with us here Maggie Emerson. Welcome to the show, Maggie.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So we here at Cosmic Soul Sisters, we're wondering if you could perhaps share with us what your portal was, or what was the catalyst for you to wake up and question the 3D paradigm?
Well, I would say it actually started when I was probably about 12 years old, and my mom had a friend named Angelica who would come over, and she was the only person who was allowed to smoke in her house. She would smoke at her fireplace and read tarot cards. So it was this world of fascination, and she had the store with all the, like, even the little worry dolls and the stones and the jewelry. And my dad, this has since very much changed, but my dad, felt uncomfortable about it, but it really excited me, and it was curious in how she would just, be able to open up a card and say all these things that just matched so perfectly to what was being asked. So that was the beginning. But then it went on, and everywhere I lived, like when I went away to school, and then when I moved to Colorado, I always found myself around people that knew things. And I just wanted to know things like they knew things. And it was this perpetual seeking from when I was really little of, okay, like they know this. How do I know things like they know things? And turns out all along I knew things. I just didn't know I knew things. Mm-hmm.
So I understand that you are an energy healer.
I am.
Could you tell us a little bit more about what that entails?
Well, it's multiple fold. It's because on one hand, lately I haven't, thanks to the world events, is like when I put hands on people, I literally invite my body to be the energy that's required for them. And then I just sometimes I just speak what comes through me. And sometimes it's like, I remember putting my hands on someone and be like, didn't want to say it. It's one of those, like, when you have an intuitive hit, you're like, really? Like, really? I had my hands on her knees and I go, do baby deer mean anything to you? And then she went on and on and on about deer. And it just opened up this whole thing and like shifted how her legs were feeling. It was just this thing. So hands on, like that sort of thing occurs. Like, it's just like, I really invite someone in and say, you know, anything can happen here. You can cry, you can laugh, you can like fart, you can like do all the things that your body needs to do to release. And we go there. And sometimes it's verbal and sometimes it's my hands moving and playing energy. And then also on the, like, I can do it long distance too. It's just a little bit different because obviously my hands aren't physically on a person, but it's almost as if I literally, and like I invite the person to lay down, and it's like I bring them into my space as if they're laying there and work on them as if they're right in front of me.
What is an instance, if you feel comfortable sharing, maybe one of the more interesting or exceptional healing instances that's happened?
Well, I have had someone who had a lot of trauma in her world. And so what happens when someone is in, like, and not to be afraid if you're ever going to come to me, but sometimes what's happened is I can feel or see what's happened to your body. And I don't often, like, it's not my job to bring it up for you. That's like, the healing comes from you sensing it and bring it forward, unless I get the hit that it's like, ask this question, which then opens the door for them to speak to that or not. Because I see it, it's not kind to be like, I see you had this happen. Like, that's just not kind, right? But I can ask my intuition to allow me to ask questions that open that up if there's space for that, right? And so I remember working on this woman and I saw a lot of trauma to her, but I kept hearing like, don't say a thing, don't say a thing. Like, and I trust that, right? And so then 4 days later, she messaged me to say from a very young age, she would have every day traumatic flashbacks from a traumatic event, and it had gone away.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's very transformative.
Yeah. Yeah. So amazing things can happen, I think, when we're, because sometimes I think when we're on this path of discovering more about ourselves and that sort of thing, we feel like we have to like dig in and analyze and do all these things. And with the energy healing and also the intuitive healing, is a lot of time giving it the space to like be present, like you're being present, but also there's a presence of what is, so that it can shift, is what creates the dynamic changes.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think giving space is so important, and also listening to that knowing. Can you talk a little bit more about how you listen to your knowing and how you tune into that? And
Yeah. So my favorite way to start people with tapping into their knowing is actually through your body. Because do you know when you have to go to the bathroom? Right? You do, right? It's like there's a sensation that comes with, I have to go to the bathroom. And oftentimes, not now, let me finish this email. We do this thing, and then all of a sudden it's like, we gotta go, right? Or if you're my kid, you're on your game and then you're flying through the house, right? To go to the bathroom. So that, like, we start with the body and we start with the sensations of, okay, like checking in with your body. Hey body, like our bodies, like, just like, Leah, I don't know if you're a mama or not, but when you're a mama, your body will produce breast milk according to what your baby needs. So when your baby is close to you, your body goes, oh, it needs fat. or it needs like more liquid, right? And your body adjusts. And you don't have to think about that, but your body actually has that innate ability for you as well, for what you eat. And so I like to start intuitively with that of going, hey body, what do you require? Hey body. And then you have this like partnership with your body to play with that knowing of what your body needs. And then, and you can do either or, like you can go body route to dive into this, or you start to think of those moments of, can you think of a moment when your gut knew something and you didn't follow through? Right?
Absolutely.
Right? Those are like, oh. And then, but really, if you look at those moments and you go, oh, I actually knew, and you acknowledge that sensation, because it's a unique sensation from my experience. It's a very unique sensation of like, I know, right? And so you start to recall those moments of when you knew, but you didn't follow through, because those are easy to remember because they have little attached to them, right? And then you get this sense of it, and then you start to look at, when did I know when I followed through? Or when did I know when I got confirmation that I knew? And then you pay attention to that and you go, oh, okay. So there tends to be a similar sense, like, and oftentimes your knowing doesn't always make sense. Like, you know, it'll be some of those bizarre things of like, really? Like I've had conversations with myself and I know, like, really? Are you for real? All right, off we go, right? And it's tuning in, and then it's paying attention to, for you, what, like, as you build this muscle, because it is a muscle, right? And we use technology and all these things to distract us from this, right? So it's like, I actually, like, if you're wanting to get to know your knowing, pay attention to when you're going to your phone, because that actually might be a knowing coming through that you're avoiding. Like it's pretty, like, I literally, my phone's not right here, but for a while there, especially through at the beginning and through my mother's passing, I wanted to distract and not know how I was feeling. And so I'd pick up my phone to scroll. So every time I picked up my phone, I'm like, what am I looking for? And tune in. And it's asking those questions that will give you, like, start to open up that receiving of information. Me personally, it often comes from this side. Like, I hear things, I see things from here. Whereas for other people, it can be a different audio voice, it can be a sensation, and it's really tapping into that, you know, when you knew, oh, did I hear something? Did I see something? Did I notice a sign? Did I just feel like, oftentimes, I've had multiple times where I go into a random store. I'm like, I don't want to go in here. And I'll meet someone that's connected to so-and-so, that's connected to so-and-so, right? And it's this physical, like, magnetic sensation of like, go there. So it can come in like all different ways if you're paying attention.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I feel like a lot of times we reach for our phones, and I hadn't thought about it as avoidance. So that's a really good mental note for me.
Yeah, it's fascinating how, like, I even noticed, because even when I'm making my earrings, I love to have a fun movie on. It keeps me company. And sometimes I have to be very careful what's on, because that will draw us down a hole, right? So if I have some like intense movie on, it's distracting me from that peace and calm that I like to be in. So yeah, it's something to pay attention to.
While you're talking about music, this is a really good segue. I'm curious, is there any type of music that you love to listen to that raises your vibration?
Well, like, I love Nia music. I'm a Nia geek. So for those of you who don't know Nia, it's a blend of martial arts, healing arts, and dance arts. And I find, actually, I really find that if I'll get hooked on like a couple of songs, and then they just play on repeat. Like, for example, right now, it's the Life soundtrack from Nia. Like, the first 3 songs have a resonance with me right now. And I tend to be a person who, with music, I I'll get 2 or 3 songs, and it'll be a period of time where I just listen and listen and listen, and have the energy that I require. And then all of a sudden I'm like, nope, can't listen to them anymore. And I move on to new songs. Yeah.
Again, that's just about feeling right, feeling how you're feeling in your body at the time, and recognizing if it doesn't fit with what you really truly are.
Yeah. And recognizing the how vastly we change even in a day. Like the ride that we go on through each day is an incredible one. Like I would say, especially right now, sorry to say it, but especially right now is like this ride. And so if you're having this sense of like, if you're tuning into yourself and you're disconnected, all you got to do is ask, okay, what music would allow me to relax? And so the music that might allow me to relax might be something that gives you anxiety, right? I might go to this soft place, and if sometimes we need to match the anxiety and go to the like hardcore movement to match it, so then it dissipates, right?
That makes sense.
Maggie, one of the things that I was really admiring when Shara was telling me about you was your ability to...
Oh, you're freezing on us, love.
I know, I want to know what she has to say.
You're cutting out, Leah. Oh, I know, it was a good question too.
I know, it's like I felt it. I wanted to hear it.
Oh, let's see. She'll hop back on when she can. I'm sure she will.
There she is.
Here she
Okay,
comes.
I'm sorry.
So what I'm so curious of your question. You ended
Oh, yes.
at
Sense.
What
I know you ended at you were
you
saying.
heard?
Go ahead.
I was just impressed about how you were able to move beyond what is the 3D paradigm for work, as far as I go to my 9-to-5 job. You know what I mean? I not that there's anything wrong with that, but there are people out there that are feeling that they have intuitive abilities, or maybe would like to work outside of that paradigm, but they're maybe having trouble letting go of what is normal or socially maybe acceptable as a career. And that's something you've navigated, it seems like, with such grace. And I wondered if you'd be able to share some tips or maybe just some ideas about how you did it.
Yeah, I mean, part of it, like right at this point, like there's no other way. Like I can't not continue down this path. Like it would be like a destruction of myself. So I feel like if there are people listening that really want to switch that, it's like, okay, it really is like we live in a like we want it right away world. And I know my inner 2-year-old comes up like it was my inner 2-year-old was around this week. I'm like, I want it now. But it's that building towards, the bigger picture of what you want your life and living to look like today. It's not waiting for tomorrow. And whether that means just really like, if it's an intuitive piece that you're doing, then you're acknowledging your intuition, right? And you're building that so that if and when you decide to go out and do your own thing, or you step into a job that has more of that going on, there's no question about it. You're building that right now. And the other thing, I mean, part of it was when I lived in Montana, and I had a boss that literally looked at me like I was crazy. I had literally had a bunch of different, like on my my bulletin board had like the word joy on it. It had, beautiful pictures. And I think she thought I was crazy because I was so happy. And then when I told her that my husband at the time and my son were like, I was leaving the job because we were going to go travel for a year. And she had looked at me like, well, how are you going to make that happen? And I was kind of like, how am I not? Like, this is what we're doing. And that was kind of the relationship with this boss of like this continual like beat down of like, not like, how is that even possible? And it actually fueled my fire, which was a treat. Like during the time, I would not have called it a gift. Now it was a real gift for someone. Like, I didn't ever want to work for someone again if that was what it was going to be like. And you know, if you're going into entrepreneurship too, it's a road where you got to show up for yourself every day. There is nobody telling you got to be there. And that takes some balls.
It takes a lot of courage.
It does. It really does. And especially particularly those moments in time where things may not be going as well as you think they should be, or it's not going as fast as you think. It's in those moments, and I've had my fair share of those moments of like, it's going back to like, what do I want my life and living to look like? What is the bigger picture here? And it does become easier when you have the bigger picture beyond, like, it's beyond, a lot of it has to do with like the freedom for you to be you and do what you love. But the bigger picture is actually even bigger than you can imagine. And you just keep looking at that bigger vision, and how you get to be, the way I see this for me is like, the way I'm taking my business is like, it's going to trickle down into so many people's worlds. And that's why I do it. And that's what carries me forward on the mornings where I'm like, I thought I went to bed feeling like a powerhouse and I woke up feeling like not so much, right? And so it is about having a lot of courage to do it anyways and say the things that are here in your heart versus what we think we need to say to create our lives.
That's awesome.
Maggie, can you tell us a little bit about your earring creations and how that came to be?
Yeah, so my earring creation, this is, I might get a tear or two, who knows, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but I had done, so I've done a little bit of earring stuff, like I think actually these were made really turned the earring into the business, but so I was coaching and very burnt out from coaching, and I've since healed and I'm bringing that back into my world, but so then COVID hit. And then my mom passed away on April 8th. And I was just like, I can still feel it. My heart just, ached. Like I've never felt such a physical sensation of ache. And so I really had to ask myself, what did I do that brought me joy? And it was beading. The question, to be clear, was, what did I do when I was a kid that brought me joy? Because I wanted that kid, like the kid in me needed to be nourished, and it was beading. And so then I learned how to do, well, you're wearing similar earrings to this. I learned how to do the stitches, right? The stitches of like the brick stitch. And I made a pair of, they're called Ride the Waves, which was appropriate for exactly what I was going through. And I put them up on, so let me pause there. Ride the Waves. And each pair of earrings, they aren't just earrings, they have a little message so that when you put them on, you carry that message, that intention with you throughout the day, right? Or you can set your own intentions, but they do come with, they talk to me while I make them. And so I posted that on Facebook. The first pair sold in 2 minutes. I was like, okay, thank you for the sign, universe. And so from there, the earring business was born. Is all things to remember?
Oh, I love that.
And they're so gorgeous.
You were mentioning at one point,
Go ahead, Leah.
Maggie, you were mentioning at one point, there was something that you had mentioned about what we wear changing our vibrations. I don't know if you could go into that a little bit for me, because that was a really interesting concept. when you were
So-
speaking about that?
Where do I start there? So have you ever, like, I now, on most days, like, literally, and I'm little, like, let me sidetrack this with, I am little miss, I do what I want. Like, I don't like to be put in a box. And at the same time, as a business owner and growing it, there are some systems and structures that need to be put in place. And what I like, so the days, like I really, I tune in to what is it I want to create. And then, you know, if we want to create that sense of like, I'm a businesswoman, I'm a CEO, am I going to be in my sweats, or am I going to, like, get in the shower, dry my hair, do my makeup, even though I am alone all day, right? I am alone all day, and I will literally change out of this to go pick up my kids. Like, nobody besides you two are going to see what I'm wearing today, right? Except for my kid on the way to school. So it's like how we dress ourselves can really shift how we show up in the world, right? Like, there are some days where cap on, don't look at me, I'm in the grocery store doing my thing, works. And so that, like, it's really about honoring you and where you're headed as well. And then, like, I include the earrings in this because literally my earrings choose me. I don't choose them in the morning. Like that's just how it works. Like, I literally have, I don't have it here, it's in the kitchen of all places, this whole thing of earrings that literally I just look at and go, okay, which ones? And it's almost as if it goes bold on, like, you know how, like, you're in Word and there's bold lettering, it's almost as if the pair goes bold and on they go. And that's how I do it. And it's like, these ones I haven't worn in months that I'm wearing today. And it just was, they were the ones that were like, us, we're going to contribute to you today. And so when you start to look at your clothing and your earrings and your necklaces and all the things that we adorn ourselves with as something that's contributing to you, are you going to pick, what are you going to pick?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Does that,
and again, just going with your instinct, right?
Yeah. And
with your own inner knowing.
And it's your first instincts that's right. Because the other day I was going to do a Facebook Live and I was feeling like having those feelings of being nervous. And then I was changing my shirt. And I actually was wearing this shirt, the blue one, excuse me. That was the first one I put on. That was my intuitive hit. And then I put the pink one on, and then I put the green one on. Like, but it's always the first, it's usually like intuition. It's usually the first thing. As soon as we start thinking, that's not your intuition. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's us talking ourselves out of it.
I know.
Right?
Absolutely.
Which we're so good at.
You also do courses.
Yeah.
Maggie, do you do courses as well?
I do.
Do you have something coming up?
I do. I'm so excited. So I do. And so I have integrated all my loves inside of this course. And it is called Joy Activated. And it's really about us tapping into energies and to our intuition, as well as our bodies as our tool for intuition, and really standing in our power of knowing. Right. And it's a 3-month program called Joy Activated, which includes, of course, earrings that really, I picked earrings based on what it is that I felt from my collection so far of earrings are what we're tuning into. So I haven't even released these. I don't think people will see me right yet, but I'll show you too. These little tiny things that are called the Little Whispers. And the original Little Whispers looked like this, but these are real gemstones. So I really wanted, within the earring mix of things, for people to be able to choose, like, intuitively. They'll get a pair of Little Whispers, but they have a choice of a couple different stones, so that even in the signing up and the receiving the package, they've had a chance to get their intuition flowing. And this 3-month adventure is really about, we're looking at, I call them joy killers. It's probably not the best word, but we have these joy killers in our lives, like the one of the ones that I feel like is the biggest joy killer is when we like, we set out to do our movement or our yoga practice as an example, and we cut it off 5-10 minutes early, and you do that every day, and you're actually like you're taking away, you're subtracting from you, because we have this thing right now where like we're taught that we should be doing these things, or sometimes yoga at home is hard. You see the dust balls and you really want to get up and do the dust balls because they're driving you nuts. But when we say we're going to do something for ourselves that is really good, that honors ourselves, and then we cut it short, we're slowly picking off, like we're putting like little blockers on our joy, because that adds up. So we're really going to look at those places and spaces where we do that we don't even know. Because even leading up to like teaching this, it's like, okay, Maggie, dive in deeper, like your game on. And it's like, whoo, okay. And I'm removing the joy killers, which is a treat. Like, it is a treat. And in some moments, I will be honest, sometimes it's like, I don't want to look at that right now.
What are some of the ways that you remove them? I mean, I'm sure you'll go into it in your course, but
no, that's fine. Sure. But so one, it's just being really honest with yourself and looking at, like, actually seeing them, right? So it's like, okay, I'm going to stick with the yoga's example. It's like, okay, if I'm cutting myself off of yoga, if I say I'm doing 40 minutes and I'm doing like 35 every time, why don't I just either, you can look at it as, is that honoring of me or not, and just really check in, right? And then it's like, okay, then how about, like, for me, I use this too, because for me, I tried to do 45 minutes of yoga. 30 is my magic space. So then when I finally went like, okay, let's do 30 feels really good. Then it got done. I felt really good. I felt like I did my thing. Whereas when I was doing, like, saying I have to do 45, it was just, that part was a joy killer. Not necessarily always that I was leaving early, but it was like a just a wonky energy, because my body was like, no, 30 minutes, honey. Mm-hmm. So in terms of finding the joy killers, is you're just looking at what are the things that are stealing your energy, or what I like, where you have your energy leaks, right? So sometimes it's saying yes when you really want to say no, right? And sometimes it's what else could it be? Like, can you think of something as I say that? Something that's like a little bit of a joy killer? I'm putting you on the spot, but that's who I am.
On the spot.
I find it in what stuff that I consume, like media, or even movies. I have a choice in what I watch or consume, even food, but especially with movies and the media and stuff like that right now, I have that choice whether to watch this show or just to turn the TV off completely. What am I paying attention to, and what am I letting come into my space?
Yeah.
Energetically. So,
and I think that
right now the news is a joy killer.
I think that one's huge in general, because we have so much technology telling us what we should do, what we should think, and even so, like, and then on the next step of that is recognizing that, and then having, like, it's all about being curious, because when you're curious, you really are like, okay, today, like, okay, I feel like watching a movie, but like, what do I really require right now? Right? Or just say you're going for a walk. Lately, I don't even bring my phone with me on my walk, because I know I'm going to have the instinct. That, like, draw and look at them instinct is there, right? So I just leave it at home. Yeah. And so and then there are some days where I'm like, no, I need something to listen to. So it's just being curious of, okay, what do I require right now? Oh, I require to completely disconnect from the wire, like that stuff. So it's really like, it's looking at, okay, what is really killing my joy? How am I, like, letting little bits of energy leak out? And then what can you add in instead? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then it's all relying on your knowing, because no one can tell you. you know better.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Maggie, where can we have people look for you? Where's a good place to find you if they want to sign up for your workshop or if they want to buy some of your gorgeous earrings?
So the best place for the Joy Activated is actually to find me either on Facebook or Instagram.
Okay.
So Facebook, you can look up Maggie Emerson. And I'm like, I think it's called Maggie Connection, is when you go facebook.com/Maggie Connection. Instagram, it's Mag, this is gonna, like, I'm just gonna say it and people can figure it out, but it's Maggie_Emerson_. That's quite a thing to say. I've never said that out loud before. And then of course, Maggie-Emerson.com is where all the earrings are at.
That's awesome. We'll make sure and link it below so that everyone can get in easily to see your stuff.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me on here.
It was so great to meet you. Lovely to talk to you.
Likewise.
Thank you so much, Maggie.